Lessons being given, you kids don't really understand. Everything's made so easy these days. Is there anything that has been created, maybe let's say in the past 5 years, that's really fascinated you in music instrumentation?
I have to say the computer, man. I mean, and the reason why I'm saying that is because the things that I'm hearing, first, when I first took a kind of like a break off of like heavy making music, I said I got to get back, because after a while, when you start keep constantly making music, and with the pressures that it takes to make these records, you lose a certain perspective, and you start to get detached from the sound itself. And so now, instead of you hearing something as one whole feeling, you're now hearing all the separates. And so nothing is really gelling. And no matter what arrangements, what you do, what you put up, all you're hearing is these separates, but you're never hearing it as one vibration. That's when you know you have to take a step back, because you have to clear your head, come back. And when I took a break from making records, I don't listen to other records while I'm making records, because I don't want to be influenced. Right. Because I'm a fan first. I love everybody's music. So I'll listen to this and I'll be like, oh, I want to change. When I listen to something, I want to change again. So in order for me to stay focused, I have to now devoid myself from listening to anything outside and zone in on what I'm doing. Yeah. And when you do that, you tend to put your head in the sand, and you don't hear and know and feel what's going on out there. So when you stick your head up, you've missed a period of time that you wasn't listening to anything. And so I went back now and started listening to stuff. And when I started listening, the first thing I picked up was, I said, I want to listen to drum and bass. Because when my head was in this thing, I missed that whole era. And so I started listening to drum and bass, and I started hearing, I said, oh, this is hip hop sped up. And not only that, the intricacy of how they use the 808s to create bass lines. And then from that, I started listening to another version of it, and I got this tape by accident. It was not a tape, it was actually a CD. I got it by accident, and it was the roots of dubstep. And it was and I'm listening to this thing, and I'm sitting there going I thought it was drum and bass. I thought it was a subgenre of drum and bass. But when I listened to it, it was a little slower. But it was a little funkier, a little wonkier.
That's a good word for it.
And it was hot, and I was like, whoa, what is this feeling? And so I started investigating it, and then I started finding out all the artists and different cats that was making it, and it's piqued my interest again. Once again, it's about finding something that piques your interest, and so I started now I'm listening to dance music again. I'm listening to techno. And why am I listening to techno? Because I've never been a fan of mainstream commercial pop music. Never. Like people sit there and say, well, okay, come on. But my favorite, the album I like the least is Michael Jackson's Thriller.
I was just going to ask you about, what about Michael Jackson? That's the first thing that popped into my head.
And you know why? Because Off the Wall to me is my holy grail.
Right.
But what happened with Thriller, it became a commercial phenomenon. And to me, right then, it loses its appeal.
So you got the instant, I can't accept that.
I can't. Once it crosses over crazy, I'm like, nah.
Like on principle, it's not even about the sound.
It's not even about. It's just it's kind of egotistical in a way, because I kind of feel like if everybody likes it, then it's obviously not good.
Right.
But
I identify with that too.
Okay.
Yeah.
And you always want to make that cool new thing.
Yeah, I think I don't know if it's a DJ thing too, because the DJs, it's easy if everyone else is playing that one particular song, it's cool, but as a DJ, it's you want to be yo, I found this cut, that's going to shock and awe you. You're going to be where'd that come from? Who's that? Be well, that's on this same record that you all,
Okay.
So maybe there's a little bit of that.
I mean, but that to me is the embryo of producing.
Yeah.
because you want to be first, and you want to see if your taste is going to emerge. When I first got my first vinyl of It's Like That by Run DMC, we're gonna go back. This is history class. We're gonna go back. They was pushing It's Like That so hard that I was like, I happened to flip it over, and I saw this little record. It was like, this little record. It was a few minutes long. It was Sucker MCs. Just the title alone just made me want to like, what are they talking about? So I played that first. Now keep in mind that I'm getting the promotional vinyl before it got the radio or any place. And so I'm playing Sucker MCs, and the first thing I hear is that beat. And from that point on, I was like, this is the record. Right. So I started programming that record. And we was playing that record on BAU and all the other, at the college stations as much as possible. And every time I went out, I was playing that record. And that record blew up on Long Island. And so from that point, and then to see how that record then led to it becoming big on radio.
Right.
And when you think about it, a lot of people in New York don't really remember It's Like That. And that was the A side. And the B side was Sucker MCs. And so that spawned me to, that's why we wrote the song B-Side Wins Again. Because the B-side has always been the tune from what you did before. Otherwise, people are going to say, well, he did that already. Yeah. And then you have to kind of like go, okay, well now how can I do something that's going to be different? But you can't be too different. You want to be classic. You want to do something retro, but you can't be too retro. So there's these balancing acts that you have to play, and that's where the pressure comes from. Yeah. The pressure comes from you, and keep in mind that when you're making a record, it's like you're naked. You standing on the table naked, and you giving somebody your all. You saying, well, this is my baby right here. What do you think? And then now people and people are hard out there. They're like, that baby's whack. And your whole existence now gets crushed. Yeah. And your career is hinging on these decisions. And so thus, it's spawned a lot of the hip hop artists, and we took it amongst ourselves. We would never rely on a committee, almost like a congressional committee or some kind of like tribunal that would sit there and say, we're not really feeling this record, so this record's not coming out. What would we do? We would go out,
put it out, give it
and play it to cats. Yeah. Okay. Yeah. And why do we do that? To create a balance of power. So now the record companies that tribunal that's sitting there going like, this is not good enough for us to come out, now has to listen to other voices. And when they hear other voices that's screaming at them like, what are y'all crazy? Then all of a sudden now things start to change. And I can give you an example of that. There's a soundtrack that I did called Juice. And there was a record that there was a part in the movie that was the most significant part. It was in the house. They was in the house, and it was a party scene. And there was a key place for a good record, a big record, but a big hip hop record. But it had to be a big hip hop underground record. So I heard this record from Cypress Hill called Killer Man. And now at the time, Cypress Hill was signed to Columbia. And they were kind of like not feeling this group or didn't know what to do with this group because Columbia did not understand hip hop at the time at all. So they were like, what do we do with this group? Should we drop them? So they were in limbo until I put that record in the Juice movie. And once that record was in the Juice movie, all of a sudden there was an interest now. And now the fans spoke. And the record company had to. That's what we go through, and at that time, the beautiful thing about hip hop, and at that moment was that we would all do that for each other. We never had this thing of, even though that we were competitors about the product.
Absolutely.
But we were never haters.
Yeah.
It's like, and there's a difference. And it's a hater is somebody that will hear something that's crazy incredible. You know it's dope, but you, in your heart, you gonna say you don't like it because you don't want to see this thing evolve.
Right.
That's hating. We wouldn't do that. When you guys made Bonita Applebum, we were sitting there going like, oh my God, can we believe this? But at the same time as we're competitive, we have to stand back and go, this record's crazy. I had to listen to the record a few times, and I sit there and go like, I had to go back and go, you know what? It's official. And we would do that. That doesn't happen much today.
Yeah, why not? What changed?
Well, the economics change.
Yeah.
You know, it's like it's now there's an economic, side to the music game that changes your perception of it.
Because there's less money, so
Well,
people have to play it safe.
or there's more greed. You know, it's like, oh, I don't want you to. I can't have you shine because if you shine, that means I ain't good.
Right.
And so now I got to hold you back. And what that does is that distorts the music.
Yeah.
It doesn't allow the music to evolve. That's why do you think everybody says that the 80s era from anywhere from 89 to 95-ish is the golden era? Why? Because we didn't hate. And another thing that we had was we didn't bite each other. If you had a zone and you had a lane, you stay in it.
I don't think the kids these days are going to get that message and they don't care. They see that as a badge of honor, actually.
Fighting?
Yeah, are you kidding me? All the music that's successful now, and I'll go into even the technology, which adds to it. It's like you can go to many websites now, and they'll have like templates made. Let's just go on trap subgenre of hip hop, and there'll be like 1,000 templates, and all you gotta do is drag that into your application you're using, be it Logic, Ableton, whatever. Change a couple of drum sounds. And now your sketch is the same. It's the same, and you got somebody else who hopefully will bring in a different rap style or rap cadence to change the dynamic of the vocal on top. But in terms of the foundation of it, it's just like there are people who are thinking, but it just seems like there's such a desire to make it big so fast that you choose the quick and easy route.
Right.
And so that kills the music a little bit. And then if there's success with it and continued repeated success, I think that the kids, again, they see it as a badge of honor. It's just like, well, I'm going to keep going here. Why change it? I'm finding success with this.
Well, and that extends over even to the mixtape, today, and which I don't understand. The mixtape is like, I don't understand a new rapper getting on top of another rapper's instrumental to get out there. And to put that out there. And I'm sitting there going like, well, I understand it from a marketing standpoint where you want people to listen to it because they want to listen to something that they're familiar with. But at the same time, what you're doing is you're destroying your essence because now no one knows who you are.
Yeah.
And so, and you make, to me, or the second thing that you're doing is that you're creating a ceiling for yourself. So if you're on top of a Kanye beat, for example, well, how could you be better than Kanye?
Well, that's I don't know. I kind of see it. I see your point in that, and I kind of look at it as then having 12 MCs from back in the 80s rhyming on Heartbeat. It's almost the same. Maybe in a party sensation and not necessarily to
I'm talking about distributing.
Yeah,
Right.
distribution is totally. Yeah, I don't get that.
If you would have put your first record out with someone else's music on it, where would you be?
Yeah, no.
You would be first of all, you'd be looked upon like as a clone of something else, and forget about what that something is, because we can put our egos inside this and say, well, I don't want to get on a Kanye beat just because it's Kanye. It's not because you're getting on that because it's Kanye. It's because it's not yours. And everything that we come from is funny. Everything we come from comes from the fact from T. La Rock when he says it's yours. It needs to be yours. So we want to make sure that you create your identity. And it doesn't matter what your identity is, because now today you got cats that are afraid of their identity. So, David Banner said one time in an interview, he was like, man, I want to do some classical vibes and put some stuff in some of my music. And he was afraid to, because he said, people won't accept it. Why? So why are we now, as producers as a producer, what we're supposed to be is providing what the public doesn't get.
I feel like we're probably now at that point where that's going to be broken, because it was for the value of chasing the money. But I think now where the whole entire globe is going in the direction that we're going, that there's a vibration of trying to reconnect with one another, because there's been such a disconnect. And even in the creative aspect, it's like you're in the room with your computer. Like there is not a lot of connecting and people coming together. So I feel like people are looking to do something a little bit different. And, like we talked about Kendrick, the Kendrick Lamar album. I think he's definitely like stamping that
no doubt,
individuality and togetherness and unity in that.
But do you think that that's because everything is not working, or is it? See, there's a difference. It's like we didn't do it because it wasn't working. We did it because this is what you aspire to be.
Right.
You want to be great,
right.
And you want to be great in your own right. That's why you're great at what you do, and I'm great at what I do. There's no best here. There's only greatness.
Well, I think that's just the distraction of intent and what you wanted to get out of it, and it's just fame and fortune for a lot of people, or in the means to change the environment, and maybe not necessarily for the art aspect of it. So it was just this is my ticket out the ghetto, and not like I'm creating art. I don't care where it takes me. And I feel like we're finally getting back to that. Art is important, and being a creative person means that you take these risks, and so I feel like that's I don't know. Time will tell. I feel like we're about to.
Oh, we definitely because it can't go anywhere else. I mean, think about I first had the tape of Timbaland's beats before he even started working. When he was just starting to work with Missy. And they was writing for Aaliyah's first record. All right, I had his beats. Nobody liked his beats. Nobody. They were like his beats was getting rejected all over the planet from artists and everything else. His beats were hot to death to me the minute I heard them, because what he was doing was this triplet style, almost drum and bassish, but slowed down on an R&B level. And that right there was something unique and different. And he stood on his grounds. And what he did was masterful. Got Missy to write to him. Once that combination went down, now the beast is now being tamed. And so now all they need is an artist. Barry Hankerson put them over with Aaliyah, who was trying to figure it out, who was at that time a clone because she was an R Kelly protege, found her whole new identity from that collaboration. So this is the power of individuality. This is the power of doing things, being your own, and staying away from it.
Like incorporating something older, because you love it so much and you respect it so much and you want it to be a part of your work. And then, there's too much nostalgia, I think, for the 90s. Sorry, guys. But it's a weird...
It's great.
It's a weird nostalgia because these kids were born in the 90s. Like, they don't know it. So, but is there anything positive in that, like the love for that time, like that, the resurgence of Missy, that kind of thing?
Well, I mean, just because you haven't been born in it doesn't mean that you can't know it. I mean, today we have so many different ways of you to explore stuff from yesterday. And I think that that's healthy. The same thing is like, do you want to see the same movie over and over? It's like I saw Planet of the Apes, the new one, and now I'm seeing the next one, and I'm seeing the next one. It's like, okay, can we do something new? And I think that, and when someone comes with something that's original, listen, originality is always going to trump the clone.
Sure.
Let's understand that, and because what we're saying is, in deep down, is that we're not good enough.
Yeah.
I'm not good enough to make a record better than this record that was in the past, so I'm going to rely on the past to create my new future. No. I mean, it worked for a moment when I heard, when you said the love for the 90s. There was a part of the 90s that I really didn't love when I heard a Mace record who took Hollywood swinging from the Kool and the Gang and looped it. And now I'm listening to this. I'm listening to put a rap on it, and the first thing that's screaming from my head is no.
Yeah.
I went into a club and saw her respond, and I had to go like, all right. So and you're right. There is. I mean, it's a fine line, and in creativity, I don't want to sit here and sound like that's not good. But I also want people to understand that the other is also as good. Because what's happening is that we're starting to make kids that have their own sensibility in music, that wants to do something that's challenging. We're giving them a complex by saying, oh, you can't do this. You got to be like this person back over here. And they're saying, well, I'm not that person. Why do I have to emulate that? And so that's why when you're saying now that you're seeing, the walls are being broke down because it got so bad that the only place that it can go is up. So now you're going to see. To me, the game is the music business is just beginning, and people will sit there and be like, Hank, what do you mean by that? Well, what do I mean by that is that the old business, the old record paradigm is over with. So now what's happening is creativity is allowed to flourish. And why is creativity allowed to flourish? We have tools like Mixcloud, SoundCloud, we have YouTube, we have ways of getting things out that we didn't have before.
Yeah.
And so now we're just I call it we're in Web 2.0. This whole thing, being down at South by, to me, is the next incarnation of the web. And what I mean by this, there's one thing when we invent a cell phone and we say, okay, you got a cell phone, then you got a cell phone, but you're in a minority. That's one means of, we could look at that as a means of revolutionary process.
Okay.
But there's another thing that happens when everybody in the room has a cell phone. Now some new things start to develop. We start communicating now. Now we start innovating on how we're communicating to each other. Well, this thing is just starting. The rest of the world is just starting to get broadband.
Right.
And when that starts to happen, now what about the communicational collaborations? I'm here with the cats from Brazil. I'm here with the cats from Africa. And now we can sit there and we don't have to worry about distances being our enemy, so to speak, or our Achilles heel. Now we can collaborate on the net. And now you're starting to hear music now that's reflective of so many different influences. I heard a band from Mali who was playing blues. And people sit there and say, and it's like, what do they know about blues? They destroyed blues better than any blues band I've heard and hear. You have to go back to like John Lee Hooker and them to be like, okay.
Wow.
So this is, and these guys don't even know who he is really, because and they're all like 19, 20, 21. You got kids that are destroying classical music now with electronic music. So we're opening up new avenues of expression. Look at the whole Brain Feeder posse and what they've done. What if you want to talk about Public Enemy 2.0 or Bomb Squad 2.0? That to me is that zone. They're taking the music and twisting it and bending it in so many different ways that coming up with a whole new expression. And they're coming up with an expression that defies every musical reference and book and everything that we've studied about it, and still making it hot.
Yeah, I mean, it's like without gatekeepers. I mean, I think about it in terms of music journalism and how you used to have to pass a certain bar, or a critic would have to approve you, or you get a grade or whatever. They help you to interpret it, and now I kind of think we don't need that. We don't need that anymore. We don't need a review. We don't need anybody to write about it. If we just get in a room and talk about it, and that might be a revolution of communication, a revolutionary process in the way that you're talking about. If we all have access to the music and the language to talk about it and the means to get to each other, then we're good. We don't need an expert.
Okay, and that's a very good point. And so we don't need people telling us what the top 8 at 8 or the top 10. It's like that's passé now. It's like when somebody puts in there, like, who's your favorite, what's the top 10 rappers? Somebody's going to be left off. That's dope.
Right.
And so now, in the age that we're in, with the age of the iPod, the iPhone, and all the other devices that you have, and I don't want to keep using one label, but I've been a Mac user since the '80s, so I don't know any other one. It made us genre-less intelligent. I don't know what music is called today.
Right.
It's like I'll listen to something and I'll be like, people say, well, what do you think that is? It has a 4 on the floor. It's funky. It's soulful. It's bluesy. It's classical. They'll have all these elements in it. It's jazzy. So now we can do new forms of expression. When you see Daft Punk, who was an electronic band, gets with Nile Rodgers and puts Pharrell on it. Like, what? And that record works? And why does it work so big? It's because of the fact that they took that and pushed the envelope. And so my thing is all about just pushing the envelope. It doesn't matter about time, because to me, as far as I'm concerned, there's no such thing as time. Time is an illusion.
There's still power in some labels, though, right? Like, calling something hip hop is still meaningful, and calling something R&B is still, and then sometimes the distinction between it and pop.
But sometimes it's deceiving.
Yeah.
Because somebody went to me and told me that this person was a hip hop artist. I listened to it and said, no, I wasn't hip hop. You just killed it.
Well, like we were talking about Stromae earlier.
Right.
So is he hip hop?
Is he dance?
Yeah.
He's
I think so.
okay.
It's French.
Exactly.
No, Belgian.
Belgian.
My bad.
Yeah. And so to me, that's what music should be about. I don't look at Ali Shaheed as hip hop. I look at him as an artist.
Yeah.
And whatever he brings me comes from him. I don't care what it is. You come with a dance beat, and see the thing that we don't have with the gatekeepers is that respect. The respect is, dude, I respect your vision so much. If you gave me a bluegrass record, I'm listening to it.
Yeah.
Okay, I'm like, yo, we gotta put this out. This is incredible. It's a bluegrass record from Ali Shaheed. This is amazing. And that right there is what's going to get the buzz.
Right.
Because people's now going to want to hear it. And that's interest. We don't have that anymore because everything is the same old thing. So where's the interest come from? It's like, oh, okay, here's another girl. Looks good. She's thin. She looks good. She's light-skinned. She can sing. And she can dance. Okay. So a girl comes, bigger girl. I don't want to use the other word, but she's singing R&B. She's white. She sells 10 million records, 20 million records from London. What? Soul? White? Not skinny and dancing and selling records? Why does that happen?
Jasmine Sullivan should have got all that money.
I mean, we can always say what should have and could have and whatever it is, like on Monday after the Sunday game.
That's true.
But the key to this is being able to call it before.
Yeah. There were great songs on that album, so, you know,
What, Adele or Jasmine?
both.